Welcome, IT changemakers, to the DEX Show with Tim Flower and Tom McGraw. Let's get into it.
Hello, changemakers. It is, as you may have guessed, as you may have noticed, I should say, January 2025. Who can believe it? Tim Flower, can you believe it? I can't believe it.
One thing I find as I get older, the years tick by faster and faster. 2025, man.
Oof, oof, oof. Now, do you have, Tim, any New Year's resolutions? Are you a New Year's resolution guy?
Yeah, I used to be, and then I found that, I don't know, lack of willpower, lack of stamina. I don't know what it is. I don't normally do it. I think take care of your health and make the conscious decision to be happy. Those are my two.
Okay. So like life resolutions, so like
Yeah.
life resolutions, very sensible. And I ask because I just wonder if some of our audience out there might have the professional New Year's resolution to be more sustainable in their IT services. And if that sounds like you, or if it sounds like something you would like to do, regardless of resolutions, we've got a great pair of guests to speak to today. We've got David Welling, IT Sustainability Governance Lead at National Grid. First of all, hello, welcome, David. Lovely to have you on the show for the first time. How are you?
Very good, thank you, Thomas, and thank you for the intro. Yeah, I'm doing really well, and it's a good time to be in sustainability.
It is indeed. And we've got Sébastien Vibert, business owner for Sustainable Workplace, also from great partners at NextThink and great partners to the DEX Show. We've had people from them on various times, and that's Atos. Hi, Seb. How you doing?
Hi. I'm great, thank you. Yeah. Looking forward to this discussion.
Always a pleasure to have Atos on the show, I have to say, Seb. Always enjoy it. Welcome, both of you. But David, let's start with you. We are, as I've indicated, going to be exploring together, the four of us, sustainability in 2025. And could you just tell us a bit about your role maybe at National Grid and the significance of sustainability at an IT level inside the organization?
Yeah, of course. I mean, for those of you that don't know, National Grid runs the transmission infrastructure in the UK and various different things in the US as well. And we're really at the heart of the energy transition to net zero. So everything we do is focused around how we can decarbonize the grid as quickly as possible in order to provide green energy for the UK and the US. Mm-hmm. So within IT, we obviously have a critical role to play. We use a lot of electricity in our data centers. We process a lot of data, and we have to do that in as efficient way as possible in order to get the benefits that we need for our ratepayers, because we are essentially funded by the public. So yeah, National Grid has a huge role to play in the energy transition, and IT has a key role to play in making sure that we deliver that as efficiently as possible.
And I should be clear, David. We haven't invited you and Seb on just coincidentally. You are partnering around sustainability. So I wonder if you could give some insights into that partnership between National Grid and Atos.
Yeah, absolutely. Seb and I were introduced through our customer success leads, and we kind of hit it off really well, straight from the off, just talking about how we can make National Grid more sustainable through the services that Atos was providing. And Seb sort of looped me into a conversation that they were having around a research paper, the one that we're going to discuss today, and it kind of all kicked off from there. So it's a fantastic research paper with some really good data, but it was just really good to talk to people who understand and were passionate about sustainability within the IT sector, because it's not something that's talked about as much as I feel that it should be, considering the amount of impact that the IT sector has from a manufacturing impact and from an energy usage point of view. We should be more centrally discussed when it comes to the impact positively that we can have.
He's teed you up very well there, Seb. Mentioning the research paper, not only your friendship and collaboration, but the research paper, which I think Atos released quite late last year, right? Maybe if you could tell us a bit about that. What was the primary approach and the objective behind that, first of all?
Yeah, so I think the objective is that we are an IT services company in Atos, and we help customers transform the way they support their employees by moving them into a proactive way of support, a more employee engagement focused way of support. So we've transformed dozens of customers, millions of users are using NextThing amongst our customers. And our customers basically said, okay, you've done it now, you've transformed us. It's fantastic. So what's next? So what next was, well, we asked them, what is the key value that really matter to you that you need help on? And pretty much everyone came back with sustainability as being a major issue that they want some support on. So we decided to invest in that space. And the first thing that we did is to make sure we can help them. We need to understand the data. We need to understand what is the problem and what challenge we are trying to overcome. The first thing was, so where is that data? So for example, if you Google how often do I need to refresh my laptop estate, for example, what you'll find is that the more recent information is a paper that was written in 2009 for only 30,000 devices that effectively said you need to refresh your laptops every 3 years. And the whole industry, literally the hundreds of millions of laptops out there, the thousands of organizations have gone, all right, then every 3 years we replace our laptops. Bearing in mind how much the technology has evolved, we knew that there was something that we needed to do. We needed to collect the data, and we have the data. As I just said, we manage 1 million devices. We have our facilities with our data scientists who are processing data on a consistent basis. So once we've decided that's something that we really want to do, we want to contribute to a society in that way by creating this research paper, sharing it so everyone can have a look at it. We needed to analyze the data. So the first thing we did, we went to see our NextThing team, ask them, how often do people restart their laptop? How long do they spend on their devices? What's the screen brightness on the devices? What information, what insight could we get from that information? We went to our Intune SCCM team who manage 4 million devices. We asked them, how often do you have incidents? What happened to devices after those 3 years? Are the devices suddenly breaking left, right, and center? What's happening then? And then we wanted to have the full life cycle. So we hooked up with one of our asset disposal partner, and we asked them what happened at the end of the life cycle. What's the state of those devices? What can you tell us that could be useful? We were really excited about this paper, and then we started to speak to our NextThing friends, and they said, "Oh, we're also working on a study as well, and we've got 20 million devices, and we've got tons of data, and not the same data, different kind of data." Well, that's interesting too. So let's combine them, and all together we effectively ended up with 30 plus data points, and pretty much all of them, bearing in mind there's been nothing very much so far, was super interesting. And the idea was, can we create the kind of the Bible for sustainable workplace where people will come back and use it to make more sustainable IT decisions.
So Seb, as you can imagine, NextThing does our own papers. We've done research over the years. Sometimes the data comes back and supports our thoughts that we've got already, and sometimes it conflicts. I'm always fascinated to look at the results as surveys come in like this and research and studies. Let's dig into the data a little bit. What was the most surprising or impactful finding to come from that research that you might not have expected to see? What conflicted with what you were thinking already?
I think I was expecting to find out that we were quite a wasteful industry.
Mm.
as a whole. I was expecting that, but I was surprised how wasteful we were and the opportunities we have to improve. So if I give you one of the data points from our IT asset disposal partner, who found that only 12% of the devices that are processed for recycling are actually cannot work. Or in other words, 88% of the devices that they have do not
Still
need
have
to be
life.
recycled. There's
Yeah.
still life in them. I didn't expect such a low number.
Mm.
From another example, from a usage perspective, and I think the number is 16% out of the millions of devices that we manage, 16% run for over 23 hours a day. Or in other words, people don't switch off their laptop, right? There might be some guilty people on this podcast here.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it's a very common thing. So when you start thinking 16%, yeah, there must be lots of opportunities to improve.
Sure. And David, from a customer standpoint, you're managing an environment. Let's flip it around. What data points from the research resonated the most with you, or were most expected and the most likely to help influence or support your sustainability strategy in IT?
Well, first off, Tim, I was just really disappointed that it had taken Atos and NextThink to scratch below the surface and say, why do we get rid of a laptop after 3 years?
Sure.
No one had done that in the best part of 2 decades. Like it's absurd that a data-driven industry, which has really tight margins, had never looked at how long a laptop actually lives for. Individually, they're not expensive assets, but when we run 30,000 of them across our company, the difference between buying a new one every 3 years and every 5 years is a lot of money. And no one had actually done the research. So first off, I just wanted to say thank you for actually doing it, because all business should be data driven, like especially the IT sector. Wasting money is not something anyone should be doing in any business, yet the majority of companies were getting rid of laptops after 3 years because of a paper that was written on a really small set of data a really long time ago. And we've all been wasting money and effort since then because of that assumption, and no one had questioned it. That to me is completely unacceptable. So it's just good to see people partnering up to challenge those socially accepted norms, because sometimes those socially accepted norms are there because nobody has dared to ask the question. So we should. And to get onto your question, sorry, Tim. So my key finding was really around the energy usage potential and the opportunity there. So being from National Grid, we find energy quite important, and it's one of the critical things we need to overhaul in order to get to net zero. And Seb invited me to talk at the Digital Workplace Summit, the Gartner Summit last year. And when he shared the paper, he asked me if I could explain the carbon intensity of the energy grid in 2 minutes. Now that is a subject that people have written multiple theses on, and it is a highly academic subject. And in condensing it down to 2 minutes, I realized that laptops that are left on, so let's say that statistic we've got of 16% of all devices are left running 24/7. Well, what if those 24/7 laptops that are left plugged in and turned on were actually responding to signals from the grid, like your car does, or like your home battery does, to use more or less energy based on the time of day and the carbon intensity and the load on the grid? What if they were doing that by design? What's the scope of the possibility there? And when you look at how many laptops there are in the UK, it's large. Yet the most technically enabled internet connected device you have in your home, your laptop, doesn't respond to the energy demands of the grid, yet your car does, and your home battery does, and I mean, my washing machine does. All of these things, these Internet of Things, are using all of this data, and yet laptops weren't. So it was a huge missed opportunity in my eyes that laptops could be contributing to helping us decarbonize, and they're not. Yeah, that was one of the key ones for me.
Yeah. So I'll expand a little bit on your earlier commentary. You and I could share the same soapbox of railing against the system. I've been in IT since 1988, data-driven decision-making, and you know what? We failed for so long. And I would argue that some of our best partners are the hardware vendors, but it's not in their best interest. They've got all the data, but it's not in their best interest because they want to sell more boxes. And we as consumers and customers, we only have our little piece of the pie, right? We don't have all of the data we would need to make those decisions. So that's part of why I love working at NextThink is 20 million devices and growing. We got so much data, and with a great partner like Atos, we can go mine that data and help customers like you. So I've got I'll call it a two-part question. The same question for both of you. So Seb, let's flip back over to you.
Okay.
Sustainability, when you talk to employees about sustainability, about turning their laptop off, about emptying their inbox, about all of the things that they would need to do for sustainability goals, they're inherently at odds with the outcomes, the positive benefits of the outcomes, right? Sustainability feels like a chore or an inconvenience. What do you think is the key to striking the right balance, getting the benefit without being too onerous?
Yeah, let's face it, the most sustainable solution from an IT perspective is to give everyone a 10-year-old laptop with the smallest energy setting, the lowest screen brightness, no monitors. But that would be an awful employee experience. And I think across all of the sustainability initiative where we've seen success, for example, electric cars became successful because Tesla created a fantastic experience, yet also made it sustainable. And that's what we've got to do in this industry. We've got to do the same thing. Can we deliver sustainable laptops, which are completely sustainable laptops, which deliver a great experience? One of the outcome of the study, you talked about the employees and the chores. One of the outcome of the study is we looked at 50 different parameters within your laptop, which all have an impact on the electricity usage of that laptop. And of the 50, which is everything that can drive the usage of the laptop, only 40% are reinforceable by automation and corporation kind of policy type stuff. So the vast majority, you have to get employees fully engaged in that process. What that means is you need to turn it around. So as an IT leader, you need to think about how we can get employees really engaged with what we are trying to achieve and make them proud. I think that is the key employee experience target here. If you can make your employees proud, you're improving the employee experience and you're delivering sustainability. What we've built is a newsletter that you get every month as a user, and it gives you a very simple dashboard which gives you a score in terms of your employee experience, the DEX score using NextThink data, gives you a green score with micro action on how to improve, and gives you a society score that shows all of the good stuff that you're doing to improve kind of society as well in kind of the broader sustainability sense. By doing that, we get employees fully engaged in those micro actions. So they're not chores anymore, Tim. They become something that can to earn points. We've built some gamifications as well, so they can be in the top 10% ranking, and we turn it on its head. So yeah.
I think it's very similar to how we advise customers to switch from being reactive to proactive, right? IT doesn't want to change. They like being the firefighter. They like being the hero when things are broken, but they need to take pride in deploying stable, reliable, predictable environments, a higher DEX score. That change in thinking, I think, applies to both parts of the equation. David, how about you? What are your thoughts on how you balance the needs of the many, the needs of society and the grid with the needs to ask people to behave differently?
So I'll look at it from a business point of view, Tim, to give it a slightly different angle. If you'd asked me a year ago, I'd have said that green ops are arduous and you need to make sacrifices. My thinking has changed significantly over the past 12 months. Green ops are just good ops, right? If I buy a laptop and get rid of it after 3 years, I've wasted money. End of conversation.
Right.
If I buy a laptop and the build is terrible and it's using twice as much energy, I'm wasting money. If I buy a data center storage space and 80% of it is filled with data I don't use, I'm wasting money. So green ops are just good ops. Like there is no hindrance or impact on the user. If you want to operate successfully as a business and you want to be technology enabled,
Sure.
stop wasting money. Like, have efficient devices, get rid of junk data that you don't need, maximize the utility of a capital investment, because that's what a laptop is. It's a capital investment for your business to get outcomes. It is not a shiny device that's a status symbol. It's purely objective for you to deliver your business. And when you work in the public sector like we do, delivering, literally keeping the lights on, we should do that as cost effectively as possible. Green ops are just good ops. There's education that needs to go on with the users, because I think the biggest barrier that we have, Tim, is the IT sector has buried the impact that it has environmentally and socially for decades.
Absolutely.
We need to lift up that rock, right? And it's not a criticism. We have been actively ignorant of the impacts that it has had for a really long time. And we just need to take it on the chin and go, yeah, we could do that a lot better. And then do it better. I used to aim for perfection. My baseline now as an IT sustainability lead is less terrible.
Right.
Is running a laptop for 4 years instead of 3 less terrible than what we used to do? Yes, right, do that.
Do it.
Is going to Windows 11 going to reduce energy usage by 1, 2, turns out it's 10%. Is that less terrible? Yes, right, do it. Just increments of less terrible will get us to where we need to be. Yeah, sorry to set the bar so low, but when it's as bad as it is, just less terrible every day.
Well, that's the advice you get all over the place, right? If something feels insurmountable, the end goal is just so huge to almost unfathomable about how we get there. Take the
Just
little
keep
bits
chipping away.
little steps at a time.
Yep.
Even when Tom, but go back to when we had Ariana Huffington on, right? Sure, she was a big advocate of little baby steps to make big change in your life. I think that's an awesome way to look at it.
Less terrible every day was actually my my annual review target for 2025, guys. So it's nice.
That was
to
my
hear
anonymous
echoing.
feedback, Tom. I just.
Right.
So, Seb, my last question. I've got to run to an airport today, and I'll turn it over to Tom when we wrap up with this. But I'm curious about your thoughts as a leader at Atos. What are your thoughts about the actual platform, the digital employee experience platform, in the context of sustainability? We at Nexthink don't find a lot of potential customers buying it for sustainability. They buy it for proactive IT and to design and deploy better environments. But I'm curious how you're looking at the platform itself and how it contributes to achieving not just progress, but significant progress toward the goals. Was it an aspect that you saw something? What did you see in the research that kind of leads you down that path?
Yeah, and I think there are really 2 elements where this platform is so essential. 3 elements, I would say. I think the first one would be if I speak, so we went across once we've delivered our put together our paper. We spoke to all our clients, pretty much all our clients, and we kind of have we know that if a client doesn't have any employee experience type solution, no employee experience platforms, it's going to be very difficult to talk to them about caring for the environment where they're not really focused on their employees to start with. They're not ready to invest in that. So that's normally a big strong signal about their vision of where they're going and how they're managing their workplace. The second element is very much about the scope 2 emission. So at the moment, as you know, companies are obliged to report on their carbon emission. And for them to report on their electricity usage, the organization we've spoken to, we've asked, how do you do it? And they say, it's very simple. We take our electricity bill from our offices, and it tells us how much electricity we're using, whether it's the printer or the laptop, et cetera, et cetera. And that's our scope 2. That's it. It's simple. Well, what happens if you don't work in an office and you're using your corporate IT outside of the office? How is that being reported? Well, it's not.
No.
There's a huge gap. It's a huge empty space there. And if you don't have a tool to analyze your devices wherever you are physically located, then how are you going to be reporting your scope 2? So
can I dive in there? Also, if you're setting targets around reducing your office energy usage and you don't know how much of it is driven by laptops and monitors and other IT equipment, how on earth are you ever going to hit that energy reduction target?
Yeah. Home, right, David? You can't measure it when they're at home, so I'm going to hit my targets by sending everybody out of the office.
I was going to say it can drive some incredibly negative behaviors, like we're going to reduce energy usage in our office by sending everyone home. Scope emissions are exactly the same. In fact, they're probably worse because you don't have energy purchasing agreements at home, but you do for your offices. It's missing out. IT is a huge gap in your ability to be able to deliver on any of your objectives.
It was the same argument when we were told we have to reduce incident tickets. Well, great. I'm just going to walk around the floor and tell everyone to stop calling the help desk. It doesn't solve the problem. Yeah.
The other aspect where we need a data platform is on the refresh decision, right? We've spoken about the 3-year, the 4-year. How do you, apart from a timestamp, this device is 3 years old, 4 years old, 5 years old, how else do you decide when to replace? And when you replace a laptop, we're talking about 300 kilos of CO2. It's a huge investment. That's a huge impact. We're talking about 190,000 liters of water, which is such a precious asset at the moment. We're talking about e-waste. We're talking about all these different things. And at the moment, without a digital experience platform, you're just guessing. So pretty fundamental, I would say.
Yeah, it's all we've been living for decades just in the arena of trial and error and guesswork and inaction because we can claim that we don't have the data, and that's all changed. Gentlemen, I'm gonna drop now, but I want to take the opportunity to thank you both for joining. I think this is a long neglected topic. Tom and I need to make sure we keep it on our radar. Love the conversation and appreciate you both joining, and I'll catch you next time. Tom.
Take care, Tim. And before I let you both go, one last question for you, since we're at the beginning of the new year. Looking ahead to the end of the rest of the year, I should say, what are the sustainability targets at your respective organizations, and what most excites you about the opportunities around this area in the coming year? Let's start with you, David.
Thanks, Thomas. So sustainability targets, we're really looking at each of our delivery towers and working with them on measuring some of the basic fundamentals and setting some targets around the basic fundamentals. I think a key area of focus for everyone, especially in the laptop space, should be scope 3 emissions. So the impact of manufacturing the devices that you purchase. choosing a device can make a difference. So depending on where it's made, depending on the energy mix where it's made, depending on working conditions, depending on all of those things have such an impact on environmental and social areas. Looking at the scope 3 emissions of individual devices, looking at the life cycle assessments that are published by all manufacturers, and making good decisions based off the data that's in front of you, not just looking at the cost. It's probably an area where we're going to be placing most of our focus this year, is ensuring that we have embedded metrics and targets around our scope 3 emissions, and that those are driving the right types of behavior within our procurement team and within our laptop provisioning team.
Very cool. What about you, Seb?
Oh, we have a super exciting set of roadmap for 2025. I think some of the stuff that stand out for me, 2024 was kind of the year of the laptop, and we wanted to find a very strong solution for laptop, which we've done now. 2025, we're looking at mobile phones. They're also big carbon emission footprint. So we are talking to potential partners in that space. I also have to mention AI. I think we can't have a podcast without AI.
We almost made it, Seb. That was the New Year's resolution. We do one episode, but no, it's all over now. Okay.
But the way Nexthink provides us the condition of the inside of the device is very exciting. And if you combine with some vision AI technology that can tell you the condition of the outside of the device, using AI technology to determine whether the device should be replaced, if it's in a good or bad condition, is a really cool feature that our R&D team are working on at the moment. And there are more, but yeah, the future is bright. There's lots of really exciting stuff coming up in sustainability.
Feeling good about the new year, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on. Thanks for sharing this data. I don't think I'd have come across it if it hadn't been for this opportunity to talk to you both. It's a really cool report. Well, thanks so much, guys. It's been great fun.
Thanks, Thomas. It's been great.
Thank you very much.
To make sure that you never miss an episode, subscribe to the show in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast player. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, make sure to leave a rating of the show. Just tap the number of stars you think the podcast deserves. If you'd like to learn more about how Nexthink can help you improve your digital employee experience, head over to nexthink.com. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.